All right, so I gotta say, I'm going to be talking about some principles that help you shortcut your success if you just simply add them to your belief system and apply them, and believe that they're going to work, right? So I want to kind of start from how I got to this point, to this actual principle that I'm going to teach you guys. Um, so I've always had this dream of traveling like across the country, right? And everyone who's in here now, oh, Allie's coming in. So everyone who's in here now, y'all already know my story. Like um, I sold my house, I bought an RV, and like I'm living that life right now, right? So the dream has always been to travel full time and do a slow crawl, across the country. And my thought was always like, that can only happen in retirement because I want to take like a road trip. Like I want to go for months, for years, however long it takes me to actually visit, all of the 48 states, and then somehow get over to, well, I could drive to Alaska too, but get over to Hawaii and kind of just enjoy all of them at my own pace without having to like struggle and worry. I'm not struggling about money. I'm not worried about time. I'm just enjoying and traveling. Um, so that was something I thought that was like going to be in retirement, because the first thing was I believed that I could only make money as if I traded my time for money. If I went to work every day and I got a paycheck, and then I said, well, there's other ways to make money. I can start my own business. So I was like, well, I'll create my own business, which was a real estate investing business. And that one will allow me to, kind of build a team up and get some money and start moving. But I really didn't want to, have to manage a team while I'm out on the road traveling. And I'm like, that's just not really going to work for me. And then I learned about affiliate marketing, and when I got into affiliate marketing, I'm like, shoot, that's it right there. Like you really only need like a team of one. And if you do need more than just yourself, it could be like a virtual assistant, or, you really don't need a whole lot of people in order to run an affiliate marketing business. So I was like, that's perfect for me. It's right down my alley. So, fast forward, I jumped into affiliate marketing. I left real estate behind. I started doing really well with the affiliate marketing stuff. And I was making, commissions $500 and up, and just really, really blowing out the water. Like I was like, once I finally found the good, system and process, I was killing it. Like seven sales in 8 weeks was like my first 8 weeks. Um, I made a little over $3,500. It was nice, and I was like, yeah, I can do this full time, right? Um, and that was the plan. So I decided to quit my job, sell the house, and buy an RV so we could travel full time. And when I pitched it to my wife, she was like, yeah, let's do it. She's been trying to move out of Florida forever because it's getting just more and more expensive down here, and she didn't want to be here. So she's like, yeah, let's let's go ahead and do it. And a matter of fact, like I always wanted to ride motorcycles. So she's like, let's go get a couple of motorcycles. So we have a couple of Harleys now. Um, and that was kind of the plan, so we can get out and travel cheaply and like really be out in the elements. As y'all see, like a lot of times I'm outside when I record stuff, or I'm like never just sitting inside the RV. I'm kind of enjoying the scenery. I'm enjoying the nature or whatnot. Um, so that was perfect for me too. So I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So now we do live in an RV, like I've said. We did sell the house, we sold a car, we bought a nice truck, live in the RV, but we never actually took off, and that's because my sales just started to plummet, and it was because of what was going on up here. I started basically self sabotaging. But that's a story for another time. That's not what we're going to talk about today, right? So today I'm talking about how I got into the whole like glamping thing, because that's what RV is really about. RVing is like a way to camp without being out in the tent or just being out in the wilderness. And it has its own challenges, and it came with its own journey and a lot of stuff that I had to learn. And one of those things was learn how to build like a campfire. I never actually built a campfire before because I'm not a camper. That wasn't my thing. Like I jumped into the RV life, never going anywhere and doing anything like this before. Like we just kind of within months we went from idea to doing it to like we did it. And it was real fast. So I wanted to learn how to build a campfire, and this year was the first time I actually started my own campfire, which I'm talking like January 2024. For anybody who's watching the replay, like years from now, it's the first time that I actually started my own campfire. But like I saw my neighbors doing it, and I was like, hey, this should be super easy because I see them start campfires every night and they do it so quickly. I'm like, that'd be easy to start a campfire. Um, so my idea of building a campfire was to go around and like pick up some tinder. You get some dry leaves, some twigs, some what I thought was moss, but I later learned that it wasn't moss. It's actually forest duff that we should be collecting. But I'm getting all this stuff and I'm collecting it, and I put it into the fire pit. Put it into the fire pit, and I light it up, and it kind of like the pine needles and leaves, they burn real fast and they just go out. I was just like, oh, that's not working the way I expected it to work. Like that didn't happen. So I go around again, I collect more twigs and I collect more leaves, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make it bigger this time. So I grab all the tinder I need to grab, and I put it in the fire, and or put in the fire pit, and I light it up, and it just kind of does the same thing where like the individual leaves kind of burn off and the pine needles burn off, but nothing really actually catches fire. So I'm like, shoot, well, let me try something different. Like I'm gonna use some modern day technology. Then I'm gonna grab some paper. So I go in the house and I grab some paper, paper towels and napkins, and I kind of put one or two in there, and I light the paper on fire, which then lights the tinder on fire. And I'm like, okay, we're good. The fire starts going. I'm like, I can put a log on. And as soon as I put the log on, it like puts itself out again. I was like, shoot, this log is never going to catch up. So finally, I do get it started. I just kind of like overdid it. I threw a bunch of stuff in there and just made it work. Had no idea how to actually build it. I just made it work. Um, so the second time I went to start this fire, I'm like, well, um, let me try something a little different. This time I took a piece of toilet paper and tissue, and I balled it up and I wrapped it up in a napkin, and I put it in the center. Then I build all the tinder around it, and I pull all the leaves and stuff around it, and I lit it on fire, and it just burned itself out because it didn't have enough oxygen. Like I packed it too tightly, so it just wasn't even trying to start up. So at this point, I run back and I'm like, well, let me try getting some more paper around it to light the paper up, which would like the big ball of paper, which would then like the tinder, my twigs and my leaves and whatnot, and then it'd be like awesome. It'd work perfectly. So it lights up like I said it was going to light, but then the ball starts to burn out again. So I'm like, this time I know it needs oxygen because it's just packed too tight. So I blow on it until finally it lights up, and I keep blowing, and it gets the flame gets bigger and bigger and hotter. It catches all the tinder on, and then I put my logs on and it works. So the third time I'm like, yeah, I'm not making that mistake again. I come back. And guys, I know this is a long story, but I want you to stick with me because it's a big payoff, right? So I go back, and this time I'm like, well, I'm going to use all the coals that I have, right? So I have all these coals from the two previous fires that have like little, like basically like wood chips that haven't burnt off all the way. Actually, I'm actually sitting right next to it, so I have some pieces that look like this that can still catch fire, and there's some smaller ones, some bigger ones, but I still have pieces in there. So I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and use that. Let's light that up. So I use that as my base, and then I put the tinder on top of that, and underneath the tinder I put four napkins that aren't balled up so tightly, and I light up all four napkins, and it works, right? It lights up for me, and I'm like, cool, I got it. So I come and I take my actual logs. I don't want to put it on the fire because it just smother the fire. So I put it up like a teepee where they're like kind of leaning against this way, and I put two going this way, and the flames coming up, and it's actually touching the log. But the logs take a little while for them to start actually burning. But the fire is going, and it's going strong, and I'm like, cool. And I sit down, I kick my feet up, and I'm like, I did it. I got it the third time. And within like 5 minutes, my flame died. I was just like, shoot, are you serious? So I get up and I see the flame die, and I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. So I blow on it and I blow on it and I blow on it, and I get the flame coming up, and the flame's coming up, and it's touching the wood, and I'm like, yes, it's starting to get the log to start burning. It's turning black. I'm like, I got it, I got it, I got it. Um, and this goes on for like 20 more minutes where I'm just blowing it and trying to get it to go up and go up. And my wife's sitting there and she's watching TikTok as I'm trying to get this fire going. And I'm like, you gonna help me at all? Like, what, what are you doing? Like, I know you see, I know you see, I'm breathing on this thing really hard, and I'm having a difficult time. Like, you want to join the fire? Come help me. And she's like, well, I'm the princess, and you're the one starting the fire for the princess. And I was like, oh my Jesus, really help. so, so her way to help was like, okay, how about you get some bigger sticks? So instead of little small twigs, which I don't even have any around me, well, here's like she's like, instead of getting like little small ones like this, how about you get like some actual like twigs to put in there to light up? So I was like, cool, that might work. I mean, as you guys can see, there's like nothing but wood behind me. I'm like, okay, let me go grab a stick. So I grabbed some bigger sticks. They're like, about it, nice size. And I like start breaking them up, and I put them on top of like the burning embers, and I blow and I blow and I blow and I blow, and finally the sticks start to catch fire, and then they burn slowly enough to where the logs start to catch fire, and I was able to enjoy my fire for a few hours, right? So it's like everything kind of started to fall into fall into place once I had all the pieces. And a part that I was missing, like I said, I got those big sticks. That is actually, like I did some research later, that is actually a part of building the fire correctly. So you need tinder first, which is like your base that's going to light everything up, but it burns quickly. And then you need kindling, which is a little thicker. It will take a little longer to light, but once it lights, it's slower to burn. And that slow burn is what's going to actually um, cause the logs to catch on fire and burn the logs. And those are really slow burning. You can go through a log in a couple of hours, so you really can enjoy the fire. But I didn't know that until I actually went back and read it. But we kind of discovered that. Now that I know that, I can go back and I can build a fire anytime I want, right? Like I learned the skill, I know what I'm doing, and I can go do it now. So I want you to understand that right now, if you're struggling in your business, right, you're missing one of two things. Either you're missing like one or more steps, or you're trying to build a business when you should be trying to understand the learning process. You should be trying to get understanding and learning first before you start going out and actually like implementing a lot of the stuff. You're just in that phase. And a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves, and we start running really quickly, but we haven't even learned how to walk. And that's exactly what I was doing with my fire. I was like, oh, I got it. And I was running with it, and I was like sitting down, like, I got this sucker. No, the fire showed me that it had me. And that's what happens with business a lot of times. That's what happened with me and my business when I said I was doing really well. Then it came down. I was self-sabotaging. Like I just didn't get the processes down. I didn't get it. Um, I didn't get it down pack. I didn't understand exactly what it was I was doing, right? So the bottom line is you got to understand the processes and have all the pieces before you can move to the actionable steps, like building an audience, marketing, sales, building teams, setting up systems. Before you even get to that, you got to understand that you are in the learning part first, and then you got to go to the building phase. But most of us, like I said, we skip that part of where we actually understand the process well enough to make the process work. Because the process does work, but you just have to have a deep understanding and have all other pieces of it, right? Now, I can really just end on that. That could be the whole session, but I want to give you another like aha moment. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I saw my neighbors, like they were easily starting these campfires, and I got like 3 neighbors right around me, and they all start campfires like that all the time. Um, so let me warn you, don't make assumptions and just run with it, right? So yes, I saw my neighbors, they were starting those fires and they were doing it pretty easily. And I assumed that they were thinking the same thing that I was thinking, the same way that I was thinking. I was thinking of how to start the fire like this. And I'm like, that's gotta be how they're doing it. And I was wrong, right? Because they've been doing it a lot longer than I have. Um, most of them are like retired, and they've been RVing for years. They've been starting fires for years. They've been doing this for a very long time. and they're wiser than me when it comes to starting a fire. And none of them actually went through the same process that I went through. Even the actual, like, starting the tinder and then the kindling and then the log. No, they don't even do any of that. I found out a little while later that they just use lighter fluid. They just douse it with lighter fluid, and they just douse it with lighter fluid, and they get it going. They do it the easy way, right? And I'm over here like blowing and huffing and puffing. I'm like my voice was raspy. I was choking on smoke, and actually I thought that was the way that's like the best way to do it, the only way to do it, and it wasn't. So so the lesson in that is stop doing things the hard way. Um, stop trying to, like, stop looking for ways to do things the hard way. A lot of that has to do with the ego, has to do with pride, right? You get a sense of accomplishment and in a sense of achievement when you're like, oh, I worked hard at it and I got that done. But you're putting your sense of achievement and your sense of accomplishment into the wrong area. It's not about building the business, right? Your sense of accomplishment is the reward that you get from building the business. It's the more time with family, it's more time with friends, it's more time for hobbies, it's more time to travel, it's more money to spend, it's more ways to help other people, there's more choices like quitting your 9 to 5 and taking a cross country trip like I want to do. It's getting to make new memories, having creating more experiences. Like that's when you should feel accomplished, when you're doing the things that you set out to do, not so much just building the business. That's just a vehicle to get you to from where you are to where you want to be, right? It's never like about the business. It's never about the money. It's about the thing that the money buys. Um, so, and one last point is, if you think about it, who works harder, the people who make a lot of money or the people who make a little bit of money? I guarantee you that I work a lot harder in my job than the owner does. I guarantee you that you work a lot harder in your job than even your boss who's right above you. I can guarantee it. The people who get paid more money, they don't work as hard. So stop trying to work hard. It's like stop working hard for meaningless stuff. Work hard for building relationships. Work hard for helping people. Like there's a lot of good causes to work hard for, but money is not one of them, right? Um, so instead, let's start looking for ways to get things done easily. And like I said, that includes making money. Like, so how can you do that? Study the greats, mimic what they're doing, right? Learn the processes first before you actually run out there and you start doing things. Once you learn the process, like processes make things easier and it makes it repeatable so you can do it over and over and over again. Like how many times have you seen like millionaires go bankrupt and then a year or two later they've earned it all back again? That's because they know the process. The process is in place and they can just repeat it over and over again. Now they may need to work on some other things so they can stop going bankrupt, but they have the process for making money. They know how to make money. Um, and then get help from people who have done it. That's mentors. That's what they're there for. Somebody who's been where you have been, and they can guide you and tell you where not to go. Had I just went next door and knocked on my neighbor's door, he could have just come over and been like, "Yeah, let's do this." He would have told me exactly what to do. He's a really nice guy. He would have told me, but my pride and my ego said, "I got this. I can do it." It did not work. Um, so, all right, I think I said enough, right? Let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it right there and open up some questions. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, fire away.